Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm just going to be doing an updated Demon Hunter PvP guide, and yeah, that's the plan. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. First things first is talents. First row, you're going to want to go Fellblade, Extra Gap Closer, which you're going to really want because you might get kited, because Demon Hunters don't have a slow unless you talent it, which most Demon Hunters usually don't. So Fellblade will be the way to go for the first row. I go Demon Blades for the second row. Some people don't like playing with Demon Blades, but I always go Demon Blades. So for the second row, I go Demon Blades. Third row, Unbound Chaos. When you Immolation Aura, your Fell Rushes do in crazy amount of damage, and combining it with some of the bursts, like Night Fae for example, is really nice. You can just completely nuke a target out of nowhere. So I always go with Unbound Chaos. Fourth row, you either go Nether Walking or Soul Rending. I go Soul Rending just because I like the leech, but Nether Walking against certain teams is very useful as well. Next row is First Blood, always, because reducing the cost on bladiness is nice and increases its damage as well. Next row after that is Fell Eruption, extra stun, that's all there is to it. Always go for Fell Eruption. Final row is Demonic, because you're going to want to be in Metamorphosis a lot, especially with the Soul Leech you get, while increasing damage in Metamorphosis. And that's it for talents, just pretty much easy stuff. PvP talents are a little bit changing. You're always going to obviously want Mortal Dance unless you're not running with the, unless you're running with the class's Mortal Strike. Then you can change that out. But generally, you're going to always want to run Reverse Magic unless you're not facing a caster type team. But for the most part, usually what I face is always caster, so I almost always lock it in. Usually, whatever I do. But like I said, if there's no casters or anything, you can obviously switch it out. Another good one is Demonic Origins. 2-minute cooldown on meta is very nice, and it's extremely good when I will talk about another Covenant later. But I think most Demon Hunters also run this too. But yeah, these three are what you see are generally what I usually mostly run. But if you're not using any of these three, some other backups are Chaotic Imprint, Glimpse, Detainment, and Isolated Prey. Those are my 4 favorites that if I'm not using any of these, I switch to. My personal favorite is Isolated Prey, just really nice with the Fell Rush for the Fury, plus the extra damage they take from I-Beam. When you use I-Beam, sorry. And the stun duration is nice, so I like this when I'm not using some of the other ones. But I've grown to like Demonic Origins a lot, because having really long burst cooldowns kind of sucks. So, that's my personal pick. Like I said, here's the ones I usually pick, are the 3 I have right now. But if you don't need any of them, like for example Mortal Dance, you can switch it out for like Detainment, Chaotic Imprint, Glimpse, or Isolated Prey, or anything else you want to switch out. And that's it for talents and PvP talents. Up next is stats. I always go Versatility, then Haste, and then you can either go Crit or Mastery after that. And that's pretty much stats, just short and sweet. Always go Versatility, Haste. Those are your 2 main ones you're going to want to always go for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Legendaries is dependent. I went Everburn at the start, and now I've switched to Cycle of Life and Chaos, or Cycle of Chaos. And the amount of Chaos Strength damage you can do is absolutely insane, especially if you combine it with a conduit, which is called Relentless Onslaught, which increases another chance of trigger a second Chaos Strike. You can do so much damage with the Relentless Onslaught and Cycle of Chaos. And that's pretty much it for Legendary, because the other one is obviously Unity. And that's it. Simple enough. Up next is Conduits. And you already saw one of them is obviously Relentless Onslaught. Depending on the conduit you're and Legendary you're using, if you're using Everburn, you can use the Immolation Aura conduit, because you're going to obviously be running an Immolation Aura build. So depending if you're running Everburn, use Growing Inferno. If you're using Cycle of Chaos, Relentless Onslaught. Other than that, first one, Unnatural Malice, Consumption, Vicious Ink, Dancing with Fate, Relentless Onslaught, or Growing Inferno, depending on what legendary you're using. And then Fell Defender for the last one. And that's pretty much it for conduits. Keep in mind also this is for Night Fae. And in my honest opinion, my top 3 favorite covenants right now are Necrolord, Night Fae, and Venthyr. For Necrolord, it's probably the strongest for Arena. You can probably use Night Fae in Arena as well, but overall I think a Necrolord is probably the best for Arena. But if you're a Battleground person like I am, generally for the most part, you can play Venthyr or Night Fae as well. I've played both Night Fae and Necrolord in Arena. Both have its advantages and disadvantages. For Necrolord specifically, you can get very bad RNG. Well, like Night Fae, you can just burst somebody down pretty quick, and that's not RNG. So, my personal preference, I've been balancing between the 3. I love Necrolord when it actually procs. The amount of times I get no procs makes me just rage. So, I prefer Night Fae and Venthyr, but I don't do Venthyr for Arena, specifically due to the fact that Venthyr's ability is dispellable, and most people will have a brain and dispel it in Arena, so I would try to avoid it in Arena, but that's just me. Anyways, that is Night Fae. Now we move on to Necrolord here. Necrolord, you'll get a shield. Everybody knows that, Fleshcraft, and an RNG demon. That'll be your main consistent damage. You'll live longer as Necrolord because you're more tanky, thanks to Fleshcraft and all that. For conduits, depending on, again, what you use, you can go Everburn or Relentless Onslaught with Cycle of Chaos. Or Everburn and Growing Inferno, my bad. So for me, I use Cycle of Chaos lately, so I stick with the Relentless Onslaught here too. Then I go Vicious Ink. Then I go Brooding Pool. Then I go Condensing Anima on the left and Consumption on the right. Dancing with Fate next. And then last but not least, Fell Defender. And that's pretty much it. Same stats, same everything else. The only thing is different is up to you if you want to switch with Everburn, Growing Inferno, or Relentless Onslaught and Chaos, Cycle of Chaos. Up next is Venthyr. If you are a Battleground hero like me who love Battlegrounds, Venthyr is crazy fun. I actually probably play this more than any of the other 2 covenants because nobody really dispels in Battlegrounds. So the difference with Venthyr and Night Fae is Night Fae has the biggest burst out of the 3 by far. It's like the strongest ever. Necrolord has the survivability. You're probably wondering what Venthyr has. Venthyr has Sinful Brand. And what you do with Sinful Brand, that is still pretty good compared to Night Fae and Necrolord, is it's got really good consistent damage, and it's got really good mini burst too. Because Venthyr can mini burst every 30 seconds. First, what you want to do is you want to pop Sinful Brand, then you want to pop Eye Beam, because then it increases the duration of Sinful Brand. And like I said, most people don't dispel it in random battlegrounds. They don't. It's why in random battlegrounds it's really powerful. And if people are stacked, you Metamorphosis, and it pops Sinful Brand on everybody. Then you Eye Beam in that whole entire group too, and people just get nuked. It's so freaking fun in random battlegrounds. So if you're a battleground person, give Venthyr a shot. It's the only recommendation I would say with Venthyr, just because, like I said, Arena, people are more observant and actually, dispel stuff. So compared to battlegrounds, it works in rated battlegrounds too pretty well. But yeah, normal battlegrounds, Venthyr is crazy fun if you want to give it a shot, and I would recommend it because I actually really like it a lot. So, that's my opinion on all 3 covenants. Last guide, I only put Necrolord, but I've been loving all 3 of these covenants, and they all have their uses, their cons, just like everything else. But if you want to try them all like I do, I switch them out all the time. Do it. and it's pretty fun. Also, one more thing, for Legendary, I do switch out Cycle. I use Collective Anguish. I find Venthyr works really well with Collective Anguish, and that's the only time I'd use this Legendary. So, it's pretty nice healing, because you I-beam pretty much all the time as Venthyr. So, having that Collective Anguish is nice. So, that's another Legendary I use as Venthyr, but for Night Fae and Necrolord specifically, I use Cycle of Chaos. For tier set as well, I kind of forgot to mention this. Just get your 4 set. I also use Demonic Origins as Venthyr the most. The other one I can kind of switch out for, because I really like Isolated Prey personally, but for Venthyr specifically, because of how Sinful Brand works with Metamorphosis, I use Demonic Origins, and it's really, really nice. But I'm kind of getting used to Demonic Origins for like Night Fae and Necrolord as well. A lot of people ask me for macros. I don't think I really have anything specifically for Havoc other than just in prison focus macro. So that's basically it. So hopefully this helps you guys out. I don't think I missed anything. Rotation wise, I don't think there's really anything to really like go over, because Demon Hunter is just really basic. Just Blade Dance, and if you get Cycle of Chaos procs, then you spam that. Let me see if I can get a proc real quick. While we're waiting for that, if you're Venthyr, the only thing that changes is if you're if you're Venthyr, you put Sinful Brand first, then I-beam. Just don't forget that. Alright, I got a proc, then you spam Blade Dance. Chaos Strike. And that's pretty much Demon Hunter. And then once you don't have a proc anymore, you Blade Dance, and you can Chaos Strike between that. But once you get a Blade Dance or Chaos proc, whatever it is, you spam Chaos Strike. And that's Demon Hunter. I think that covers up everything. If I missed anything, I apologize. But I think that's everything. And with that, I will catch you guys later. Okay, I realized I forgot one more thing. I forgot to show the conduits for Venthyr. So, quickly do that real quick. Increase Scrutiny, reduces the sinful cooldown on Sinful Brand. Fellfire Haste. Fell Defender. Relentless Onslaught. Dancing with Fate. And Vicious Ink. Now that is officially everything, I believe. So, that's everything for Venthyr, Necrolord, and Venthyr, Necrolord, and Night Fae. And I'll see you guys for the next one.